Hello friends, Techman Pat. Today we are talking phones, specifically mobile phones of course. None of that rotary stuff today. Today we are looking at something I think is really cool and actually innovative in regards to Android phones. This is the ASUS ROG 2 phone. It is a spectacle to behold. Of course, it is absolutely beautiful. It is large and it is kind of out of this world in regards to the specs, and it is definitely out of this world in regards to the design. It's very industrial, very gamery, because after all, this phone is targeted at gamers. What I'm going to suggest is this is not necessarily only for gamers. So what comes in the box? Obviously we've got the handset itself, then we've got a charging cable, USB-C. The USB-C is actually to the left. We've also got a 3.5mm jack, so if you're looking for phones with that, you've got it right here. You don't need adapters. It comes also with a case. Now this case is something that I actually really like. First of all, it's an interesting design. It's not fully covering every single area, just the main points of the phone, the four corners. Just if you drop it, if it drops on your face, it's gonna happen, it's gonna crack. But what this thing allows you to do is, well, a little bit of a small drop, maybe a scuff here and there on the corner, protects the area. But what I like about it, it still shows off the design of the back of the phone, the glass, the metal, the copper colors, and actually, because everything lights up, the RGB of course. It didn't make the phone as slippery as it is now without the case. It is rather slippery, it is glassy on the back, and there's no grip around it. Now the sides are matte black, which does give a little bit of grip, but it's just not quite enough, because the phone, while it's a little bit thicker than most phones, which I don't mind at all because it does sit well in the hand, is quite slippery when holding it because it's so large. You know, when you can't quite get all your hands around without being, you know, reaching every single corner. Like there's no way I'm gonna reach my thumb. I'm gonna have to somehow slide it down to get up there to the top. So this is almost basically a two-handed phone. It is quite large, but that screen is absolutely beautiful. And I wanna get to a couple of the highlights of the screen, and we'll get to the gamery accessories that came with this. With the screen, it is OLED. The fingerprint is built in under the screen, and this is the first thing I really hate about the phone, the fingerprint reader. It is terrible. Nothing more to say. The previous phone that I reviewed, and you can view that in the links below, had an in-screen fingerprint and worked perfectly over the whole time I had this phone. This deteriorated over the time of using it. So when I first used it, I was like, yeah, that's pretty instant. And over time, it got worse and worse and worse. I don't know why. I had to redo my fingerprint. Redid it twice. I added my same thumb twice to try and get some semblance of use. But I found it actually really frustrating. It just, maybe the implementation, the software, something's not quite right, and it took ages to unlock. The face unlock is all right, but it's not Face ID in the sense of like depth perception and scanning of laser. It's a little bit more basic than that. But guys, if you're gonna get this phone, the fingerprint is pretty slow. A couple of things I did like about the screen is that the refresh rate. Now this goes from 60 to 90 to 120 frames, that's right, hertz. So what does it actually do? Well, it makes the phone absolutely smooth and buttery smooth. And this is the point where you kind of go back and look at something like an iPhone. Everybody says it's a lot smoother. Even I've said it's a lot smoother than an Android phone. That's because when you increase the frame rate, it starts feeling snappier, it starts feeling smoother. When you're scrolling across a large amount of text, you actually still are able to read the text as it scrolls up, and it doesn't feel like there's lag. Any fast motion is fluid. And even if Android is a little bit slower or a little bit laggier, it doesn't matter, because that refresh rate takes care of that issue straight away. We've got two front-firing speakers on this side also, on the bottom and on the top, and the sound is absolutely amazing, friends. I love it. It played great when maybe a ringtone came through and I heard person speaking, and when I played music back or I watched the video just like this. Because it is a full screen, there's no notches, you're going to enjoy the full video, and it worked really well. Now the resolution, or rather the actual ratio of the screen, is a little bit odd, so you might have a stretched image. If you just zoom in, you have to remove the black bars on the sides. Other than that, it is absolutely fine to watch media on. It is OLED, so the blacks are very black. Very beautiful screen, like not oversaturated. It's got that perfect balance of color and also brightness. It's a very bright screen. I was very impressed. Next up is the battery. Battery life, amazing. Holy crap. First of all, the only thing that can bring down your battery life is the refresh rate. So if you knock it up to 120, it's gonna suffer a little bit. Not much, but it's gonna suffer. You're not gonna get like 40% at the end of the day. That's the 60. 90, 36% at the end of the day. 120, you're gonna get 20% at the end of the day after heavy use. But 90 is the perfect balance between very responsive screen, frame rate wise and hertz, and battery life. Battery life, 2 days, 1.5 on heavy usage. The whole 2 weeks I charged 6 times, and that's pretty well 3 times a week. And one thing to note, there's no wireless charging. It is what it is. Unfortunately, you're gonna have to plug it in, but that's not too bad because USB-C provides a very high current and this charges extremely fast. So a quick half an hour will get you about 25 to 50%, obviously depending what charger you use, but you'll be able to charge this very fast. So don't worry about that. There is no water protection on this phone, unfortunately, so do not drop it in the water. You might get away with a few splashes here and there just because generally speaking, they won't soak in too quickly into the areas, but there are exposed grills on here that let basically heat expel out, and you actually get a little fan to put on the back too. What? During obviously extreme gaming sessions. So moving on to the back, cameras. And there's a front camera. It's really nice, takes great pictures, but the back cameras, I really like the back cameras. They take spectacular photos. I'm not joking. I had some great photos. I was using this phone during the time I was basically renovating my kitchen, and I took photos, and the wide angle lens was amazing for what I was trying to do. I was trying to get the whole kitchen in a photo and see the vast differences, and I'll flick you a few photos here, but the wide angle camera, or the lens itself, because there are 2 lenses here, is the best implementation of a dual camera phone. It works really well. You've got the option to take in a lot of your space that you're looking at, and you've got the option to take just a general photo. Why would you have long lens? I don't know. I personally wouldn't use it because at distance, you're not really going to get a stable photo, and generally speaking the quality isn't going to be that good. And how often do you use your phone to take really distant photos and try and zoom in, a digital zoom? It's not a thing. That's when the telephoto lens comes into play. But I don't find the need for it. I haven't, but I have always wanted to take more of the space I'm in while I'm around it. So that wide angle lens, absolutely fantastic.
Bit of a video test. First off, we have the ability to track a target as you move the phone around and record on video. Great for sport moments. Next, we have full HD recording on the wider angle lens and the normal one. Then we have 4K 60 frames, which looks absolutely gorgeous. And please note the speed at which it changes the lighting for the next scene as it moves from the cars. And have a look how quickly the focus gets picked up. I filmed this with bad lighting on purpose to sort of show what it would be like in the worst case scenario, because you can never really control the lighting outside, so this is what it's going to look like. But if you had perfect lighting, it'd be much better.
ASUS, well done. Well done on the cameras, because not a lot of Androids have good cameras. I mean, you've got the Google Pixel, you've got the Samsung lineup, that's about it. None of the other ones really do too well. They take great photos, they try and get a lot of megapixels in there like the last one we reviewed, and again, link is in the below. But with this one, in fact, and I'll put the description here, what's in there. Does it really matter what numbers? Does it really matter what CPUs? No, not really. It's smooth, it's great, and takes really nice photos. This is Android 9. You can upgrade to Android 10 very soon. ASUS is putting that out. What I'm gonna say is that for $2,000, this is the highest end smartphone that also has the gimmick of being a gaming phone. Now, I said gimmick, that's a bit harsh, because the cool thing about it is that you've got a beautiful screen and you've got an extra accessory that turns it into basically a Switch. And this is where I'm gonna say something very controversial. This is what the Switch should have looked like. It should have had a massive OLED screen, high resolution, and nice controllers. I mean, probably the Pro when it comes out will be like this. But this, my friends, is an amazing gaming device. The only problem, the only thing holding this back is the games. Because at the end of the day, you're stuck to mobile games. Mobile games have a tendency to be money grubbing, right? Every single mobile game you play is buy this, spend this, wait this long, do this. And there is literally not many games that you can play and say, hey, I'm actually playing maybe a fighting game or a racing game. And hey, the highest rated racing game on Android is a racing game on rails. Simple swipe left, swipe right, and it stays in line. What? I thought it'd be a racing game where you actually race, but no, Android games are crap. Apple is trying to do the whole arcade thing, whatever. It's actually quite cool because the games you don't have to buy things in, it's actually a full-fledged game. And I know Android is doing the same thing, but the games available that you would use these double controllers are stuff for PlayStation 1, 2, 3, Nintendo stuff. That's where this would shine. But right now, the Android games are terrible. Take PUBG for example. If you play PUBG on computer and you jump on this, you're like, hey, oh my gosh, I'm winning, I'm shooting so many people, and it plays really well on this. It plays like on a console. The controllers are fantastic, the buttons are really good, everything's remappable, you drag things on the screen to mark when the touch screen is, and it basically clones what you do here onto the screen. So the game it doesn't matter what game you play, you can just remove everything and change where these buttons are sitting on the screen. Great. But PUBG has bots instead of real players. For every 50 people, there's like 2 real people and like everybody else is bots. I'm not joking, it's terrible. So it's not really a competitive game, it's not PUBG. Same with the Call of Duty stuff, there's a lot of bots in there. So right now, having to play these games, I found one really fun racing game and I really enjoyed it, and I found a couple of other games that I really enjoyed, but it's very limited. So spending $2,000 and expecting to have like a Switch experience, and I'm comparing it to Switch because it's the closest thing to what this is, you're not gonna get that, unfortunately. You're not, because of the mobile game. So this is one of those things that's gonna be really cool if there's gonna be some killer games on the device. Or if ASUS loads up their own OS, or maybe something else, or maybe provides their own games, or maybe ports some really big games that come with this device. Imagine playing Witcher on the screen like this. Obviously 30 frames. But the hardware, it's nearly there. The graphics are amazing in some games. Now, apart from this add-on that makes it look like a Switch, there is also another one. This one right here, where you actually unlock these and put it in here, and you can play wirelessly. So you can just sort of put the phone somewhere on a stand.
Let me highlight a couple of nifty little things this phone has that's actually quite unique. The air triggers, they are buttons that are, well, not there. They're not actually clickable. You can customize these buttons to do certain things. These buttons are actually on the side of the phone, and when you near your finger to it, they will press. No click, no notification to your finger, but they will do an action that you have asked them to do. Best way to use it is when you're playing with your phone without the controller out attachment. You can also use gestures on the black screen without waking the phone. W, if you shape your finger on the screen into that, will launch weather, S for camera, front lens, E for clock, C for camera, the front one, and Z for gallery, and V for phone. Quite little nifty things, but they are not customizable.
So what's it like using the phone day to day? Well, it is a phone after all, so is it actually any good? Yes, this is a perfectly fine phone for general day-to-day use. I really enjoyed using it. I actually liked taking phone calls on it because it was really crisp and clear when you do take phone calls. It's something that people bypass a lot and go, oh yeah, it's just a phone, gonna text people. But hey, when's the last time you made a call? I make calls for a living, and I really enjoyed using this. The quality was fantastic. The speaker was really good. People heard me on the other side really well, even when I was mumbling. And works really well day to day. Sending messages, texts, using Facebook, big beautiful screen, Instagram, all the social medias you're going to really enjoy on this screen. It is large, it is beautiful, and the battery will last a long time. Now you can also obviously add the swipe that iPhone has and now Android has too, where you can swipe up. I really like that. I don't like tapping buttons. I like swiping. I'm used to it, so for me changing from an iPhone to this was really simple. It is a particularly expensive phone. It is top of the range. You're paying for the spec, the quality, and some of the support accessories that you're going to be able to purchase for it. Is it actually worthwhile? This is competing with the most expensive iPhones, for example, and unfortunately, depending on the ecosystem you're in, and if you're deciding what to get, all of a sudden you don't have the excuse that Android phones are cheaper or they come with the better specs that other phones like iPhones have, or even Samsung. Comparably, you have an ASUS phone that is spec'd out like crazy, and it's competing with the highest end of phones, but it's not really the most premium in the sense of an ecosystem, right? ASUS is really building this ROG phone on the gaming side of things. I really do agree that that's the best way to do it. It does make it a unique phone. Would gamers buy it? I don't know. If you're an avid Android gamer, do you need these bits and pieces to play these games? Maybe. I know there's other attachments you can buy for other phones that do the exact same thing. But at the end of the day, if you're just after going, yep, that's what I'm going to take with me to game, I don't think you will. I don't think you're gonna buy this to play games. I'm sorry, I don't think so. I can't see it happening, because you're either gonna buy this and then carry around a Switch. Anyway, if you want a game on the go, it's just the game's limited. So one last thing I'd like to suggest is streaming PlayStation 4 games to this device. Now that, my friends, is something this really worked well at. Now, in fact, it worked so well, I enjoyed it a lot around the house. But you also have to have a very fast Wi-Fi system around the house, and sometimes lag and so on. So, in any case. Friends, thank you very much for watching. Unfortunately, I can't recommend this phone. It's got a lot of stuff to it. It's a fantastic phone. It's a fantastic phone. Like, if this was a phone, I'm in love. I love it. Photos, everything about the phone itself. But at that price range, it's just another phone, and it's going to be competing against phones that do phone things better. Are waterproof, and the fingerprint. It's terrible. It'll get better. Software updates will be able to fix it. In saying that, fantastic media consumption device. Well, thank you very much to ASUS for sending this over for review. From my understanding, it's some of the first in Australia. This has obviously been out for a while in other countries, which is unfortunate that we can't, get our hands on it as quickly as those other countries. Friends, thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in comments what you think. If you're a gamer, are you going to buy this phone? Is it too expensive? I think it's too expensive. You don't have to agree with me. I'm just letting you know your thoughts. Again, big thanks to ASUS for sending this for review. I really loved it. It's just expensive. It's scary expensive, and carrying it like a baby. Friends, catch you guys in another one. Bye!